Hello, a day with Caleb. Currently in the Goodwill parking lot. Went in there, didn't find anything today, but today officially opens Epic Universe. I know I've been following construction for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe maybe 3 years. Uh, Theme park stop. They covered construction each week, so weekly updates, and I've been following that almost since the beginning, almost since there was just dirt on the ground. I've been following the construction updates, the rumors of what was going in there. You had all these rumors like Link would be in there, Lord of the Rings, which might be coming to another portion, the UK park that they should be breaking ground on pretty soon. And that's crazy to think about a Universal Park in the UK. There is Disneyland Paris, and then when I go back across the pond, for those that don't know, I studied abroad in England for a semester of college. Four and a half months I was in Evesham, England, about a 40-minute train ride to Oxford. About the same to London, maybe a little longer, maybe an hour train ride to London. But I do want to go back and do the Titanic Belfast Museum. We did go to Belfast and saw where they built the Titanic, but I want to go to the museum. Want to go to Disneyland Paris. Want to do the Warner Brothers studio tour over there because they have the Harry Potter sets and all that. The Ripper walking tour, Jack the Ripper. There's several things I want to do. Officially go to Paris. I never went to Paris. So anyway, let's talk about Epic Universe opening today. There have been employee previews. I don't know what Disney is cast members, but I don't, employees. And then last month was AP pass holder previews, annual pass holder previews. We let both our passes expire, so we could not opt into that. But we're gonna let them work out all the kinks and stuff before we go. But I am super excited. Disney, for the past year or two has kind of let us down with certain things. We still love Disney. We'll go eventually, but just some of the directions they're going with paving over the rivers of America, Muppet Vision 3D gone, just taking away attractions. Splash Mountain, one of my favorite attractions, it is now Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and is just laden with technical difficulties. I made a video on that, comparing the two, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but let's talk about each parks. There's technically 5 sections, so we'll start in reverse. I wanted to start with Dark Universe, but I think I'm most anticipating that one, so we'll start with Celestial Park, kind of the center hub of Epic Universe. It has Stardust Racers, which I am excited about. Another dueling coaster. For those of you who remember Dueling Dragons, that was an incredible ride until tragedy struck a guy who got hit with a cell phone that flew out of another person's pocket, and so he got permanently blind. He had already had, I think his left eye was already blind, but then his right eye, the phone hit, and he is now permanently blind. And that was the start of the downfall of Dueling Dragons, because they couldn't do anymore because of that and some other things that happened. But then it eventually became Hagrid's, which I do love. But anyway, so we have the Dueling Coasters and Stardust Racers. We have the little merry-go-round thing over the water, which is kind of cool. And then at night, I'm sure it'd be very cool with the lights all around and the water. So that's neat. Then we get to the Harry Potter land, Ministry of Magic. There's a show in there under the big tent. And then the main attraction, Battle for the Ministry, which the park itself is kind of based on the Fantastic Beasts series, but the Ministry of Magic ride is based on the Harry Potter universe. And I did have to crank on the AC, so hopefully that is not too loud. Maybe, yeah, there we go. I'll turn it down to where it's still on, but it's, so I'm not sweating to death, but you don't hear it as loud. So, and then they have the interactive wands, which they had in the Wizarding World in Universal and Islands. So that's neat. Then we get to how to train your dragon, Isle of Berk. And that visually looks awesome. The dragons, there's a walk around Toothless. You can meet and greet with Toothless, and you can do the thing where you rest your hand. So that's neat. They have, the other walk around characters, meet and greets also. Then they have the spinny ride with the dragons. Like you're going upside down as you spin, I'm pretty sure. And then there's a water ride, which they say you will get pretty wet on. So I think you have guns that you shoot at targets, and then people on the side can shoot water at you. And there's also fountains that come up and get you wet. So I ride water rides. I'm not a huge water ride aficionado because I don't like getting wet, especially with long pants in the summer when you're trying not to get sunburned. It clings to your person when you get soaked. The last time I did it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I rope dropped, which was a mistake. I fully admit that now. I rope dropped Dudley Do-Rats, Ripsaw Falls, because I hadn't done it in a while. So I'm it's hot summer. People are going to want to do that first thing. And nobody was there. Nobody was in line. It's a long queue you have to walk. Nobody was in there. I think there might have been one person in front of me, but I didn't wait at all. So I rode that. got absolutely soaked. I do not remember it being that what's the word that much water, uh, because the last time we rode it was 2003, 2002, with our friend Adam. Not Adam the Woo, a different Adam. But it was raining and lightning. We probably should not have been riding that, but we were kids. But we just kept riding it in the rain. So when it's raining, you don't really factor in how much water is getting on you because you're already wet. I don't know why when I rode Dudley rope dropped it, I didn't do Popeyes because it's been a while on that too, but I didn't. So then I rode Spider-Man like 4 times to get the fire effect to dry off. I'm sure the people after me were very upset because I'm sure my seat would have been soaked with water. But anyway, so the water thing, and then you have the actual ride in there in Isle of Burke with a toothless animatronic and all sorts of neat things. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's the dark horse for me, as that one will probably surprise me the most. The Ministry of Magic ride, that probably will blow my mind the most besides the Dark Universe ride. But I'm looking forward to it, Isle of Burke. It's the most vibrant. There's a lot of kinetic energy in there, so I feel like that's going to be a fun park. A lot of kids probably in there, but I think it'll be fun. Then we get to Super Nintendo World, and that is also in Universal Japan and Universal Studios Hollywood, just a much smaller footprint in Hollywood. They took out the Phantom of the Opera stage, or the set, for the original silent Phantom of the Opera 20s with Lon Chaney Sr. Comment down below. I know it's the 1900s, and was before Dracula, which was 1931. Silent era, probably the 20s? Or maybe the 10s, the 1910s. Comment down below. But they destroyed that set to build Super Nintendo World, so it kind of mixed feelings on that. They weren't using the Phantom of the Opera set, but it's a piece of history that had been preserved all that time. So, not sure how I feel about that, but they are limited in space in Hollywood. They're actually building a roller coaster over the escalators of Fast and the Furious ride. So Super Nintendo, we have the Mario Kart ride with the goggles. So it looks like you're shooting shells and all, and there's characters around you racing. From what I've heard, you don't really go that fast, but it is a kid's ride, and it is, you're in the world of Mario Kart and, Mario, Luigi, Bowser. And the castle, Bowser's castle, looks fantastic. Then there's kind of like a Omnimover Yoshi ride where you actually go outside. It kind of reminds me of Cinderella at Disneyland, where you're on the second story and you go out and you can see kind of some of the park. It's kind of like that with Yoshi. You're on the second level and you can kind of look out to see Super Nintendo World. But different from Hollywood, we get an additional section, Donkey Kong Country, which probably, besides Dark Universe, I'm most excited about. uh, they have like the different things in the game, like the plane will be like snacks and stuff. Then you can see the grandpa. Then the ride itself is like in the game where you kind of jump the track. There's different elements. Diddy Kong is there, as well as Donkey Kong. So I'm very, very excited about that ride. I've been, looking at the permits and stuff. Theme Park Stop, would show you drawings of how they were going to do that kind of jumping the track element. So I'm excited about that. And then last, certainly not least, my most anticipated section of the park is Dark Universe. Always, ever since my first visit to Universal, coming back with Mummy 1999, starring Brendan Fraser on VHS, watching it, but before the movie, they promoted the Universal Monsters films, Dracula, Mummy, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, Creature from the Blue Lagoon, and that kind of sucked me into all those films, and then that kind of led into my love for Lon Chaney, special effects, makeup, all that, and that kind of guided me a little toward horror. I'm not a big horror fan, but the special effects, makeup, and all that, Tom Savini, Rick Baker. So that's why I love the horror makeup show at Universal. I love doing that. Even though it's kind of the same show, I still love doing that. But there's like they have the Flaming Tavern, kind of like Frankenstein at the end when the tower engulfs in flames. That's a restaurant. Then there's a part where you can get your monster makeup. You can meet Frankenstein, Bride Frankenstein, Invisible Man. Then the Wolfman attraction looks very cool. Kind of a spinny ride, but then there's a section where you go in the barn and can see the Wolfman. So that looks neat. And then the main attraction, Victor von Frankenstein's is a great-granddaughter or great-great-granddaughter, kind of brings up the experiments again, and all the monsters are unleashed. It's called Monsters Unleashed, the Frankenstein experiment, and that looks incredible. I've seen some of the animatronics, the Frankenstein, a few others. Absolutely incredible. I've been wanting a representation of the Universal monsters in the parks for a long time. We had that restaurant. I would go in there almost every time when I was in Universal. The Universal Monsters Cafe. They had statues of Wolfman, Dracula. They had some props. They had old trailers of the movies playing. So that was always fun. I always enjoyed going in there. So I'm stoked to visit Dark Universe. Comment down below what you are most excited for. Are you planning to go soon? Are you there opening week? Opening month? Are you waiting a couple months? Are you waiting till the following year like me? What is your plans? Comment down below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Technically the second video we've talked about Epic Universe, so I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share with a movie lover. Until next time, go out there and enjoy Epic Universe, ride those rides, and keep collecting.